We were talking with one of Adrian's coworkers, and she was like, I can barely get myself up on time. I can go out to wherever I want at whatever time, it doesn't matter. And I was just sitting there listening to her with Oliver on my lap, like, wow, this is the love of my life. And he brings me so much joy. And also, wow, I remember just being able to go do things and not have to think about anything else.
Those are my normal thoughts. This morning, as I was thinking about, like, I may have been last night. I was on the toilet either way, and I was thinking about a kid, and I was just like, the thing that popped in my head is insurance. Like, I would have to pay for their insurance every month, and like that's just more money.
Yes, and at least for myself, like I'm currently uninsured, but I'd feel really terrible if he were uninsured. Like he just needs a lot more
care,
checkups right now. I go to checkups if I feel bad, but
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, that was the one thing I was thinking about. Like, man, I got all this extra income and I'm gonna pay for insurance for myself. And now if I have to add a kid, now that's probably gonna like almost double it. So
insurance is so expensive.
It's so expensive. So that was my next, like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do the kids thing. But every once in a while we say, I think we could do this. This would be fun. And then we're like,
it's so fun being a cool auntie. And you are such a good cool auntie.
All the kids love me.
Yeah.
And I get to just ship them right back. Wait till Oliver get a little old enough. I'll come pick them up, take them to the zoo. I'll do anything with the kids because I get to bring them back. Anything they want. When they out with me, it's like money being spent, throwing it.
And as parents, we could not do it without cool aunties and cool uncles to help with some of the stuff. Like that's how our communities are supposed to be built, is like where we can do things together and be in community and not just try to do everything by ourselves. But I think that's like the direction we're slowly moving. Although I've seen a lot of people being like, hey, let's maybe live together a little bit more, like actually have communities, which would be great.
That would be great if I could think of people that like I could just be like, I want to see you every single day, and I want you to hear me and my partner argue. That's what I'd be thinking about.
I have a friend who recently I found out that she is in a co-housing situation where it's like I guess it's kind of like a little suburb where it's different houses and duplexes, but all of the people who live there are intentionally part of this community. So they have like a garden together.
That'd be dope.
And I think you have to apply to be part of it. You can't just like buy a house there. And I was like, dang, this would be very cool to like if you can just get together with your friends and you're all like in the same, I guess, neighborhood. I could see how it might get a little bit exclusionary at a certain point, but also sometimes it's nice to be a little exclusive.
It's nice. Yeah, I'm all for it.
I don't want everybody to hear me fighting with my partner.
Exactly. Sit with my
yelling at my kid. The other day we were playing in the snow and he started to break a branch off of a beautiful little sapling I have out there. And it's a living tree, so it was bending very slowly and I was yelling at him, "No, stop. Don't do that. No." And he just kept on bending it and I could feel it in my body. I was like, he's doing it. I'm saying no and he's still doing it. And I was like trying to get over to him and I was like, man, I don't think he's trying to be bad, but right now
he's pushing back. Ain't he 2 or 3? 2 or 3? Oh no. Well, he's not in terrible 2s no more. But he didn't sound like
he's a 3-nager.
Okay, that's what it's called. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he's not in terrible 2s, but it didn't seem like he had a bad terrible 2s.
No, he was a really good 2-year-old, and he's a really great 3-year-old. But yeah, definitely.
They got to push boundaries at some point.
It's like, oh, how far can I go? And so I like looked him in the face, and I was like, I don't want you to hurt things. I don't want you to hurt trees. If I tell you no, it means I'm trying to keep you from hurting yourself, trying to keep you from hurting something else. Trees are included in that. Trees are important.
Oliver's funny.
It's funny.
It's funny. He's a cute kid.
I feel bad for my tree. Anyway, Welcome to Patchworked Pod. I should introduce this at some point.
Yeah.
Welcome to Patchwork Pod. I'm Elizabeth Ponder, and my guest today is Cece Rockwell.
Yes.
Cece, can you just give me like a 60-second commercial about you and your life as you currently are? We don't need like from childhood at this point, although we can get into that.
Well, I was born January 10th. No. So yeah, I would say I am a jack of all trades, master of none. So in my full-time role right now, I work at a website agency where I do project management, a little bit of strategy here and there, just keeping websites alive and working for the most part. Not all the time, but most of the time. And then also, I have my own company called SelfSuffi where we are working with social impact organizations to enhance their case management and intake processes so that people who are seeking help can be served more effectively and efficiently. And then outside of that, I'm an anime lover, I'm a writer, and I just do a wealth of things just to keep myself busy because I don't like sitting still.
I remember sitting still.
I
I remember what that was like.
No, that's it.
Okay, and you do a lot of things, and it's almost. I mean, I feel like I do a lot of things, but then when I hear about how much you're able to just like do and accomplish, and you've like won awards and like done pitches and all of that, I'm just always like, shit, Cece is killing it.
Sometimes,
Do you feel
sometimes.
like you're killing it?
No, because I have not at all. I'm like this person like DeAndre always tells me like I am too hard on myself.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like, winning awards or, winning the pitches, I need them to keep coming.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you're going to always have those down periods where you're not able to go as hard or you're not, getting like the recognition or, the awards that you feel like you probably should be getting.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm not, winning or if I'm not like in the spotlight, then I'm like hard on myself. Like, well, what do I need to be doing? I could be doing this better. I could be doing this better. But I don't know. It's just I can get a little. I'm a perfectionist, and so that's just what it is. So at all times, I feel like I gotta be 100% on. So it's just now recently where I've told myself that I don't have to be on. So I try to be more intentional with my time. So I actually I've always created to-do lists, but I used to create endless to-do lists where I got to get all this done. There was no way I was going to get all those things done. But now I'm like, no, if I can project manage other people and let them know what they can do in a week, then I got to do the same for myself. So once I set a goal for the week, regardless if it's for writing, if it's for SelfSuffi or my job, I'm like, okay, I did it. Now I'm gonna actually sit down and play the game and read a book. Like I've read this year probably like 12 books so far. And I haven't read in years because I always felt like I had to be on and doing something productive with my time.
Yeah. I think, yeah, and it's so interesting. I think I don't know if it's like something that we are taught growing up or something that's inherent, but there's this idea that like if you're not constantly doing something that looks productive, then you are failing.
Yep.
Like I totally get that. But I've been trying to learn and recognize that if I do not have that downtime to like let my brain reset and do other things that are building other like I literally have to make myself believe that I'm going to be more productive because I'm resting. Like that's the motivation is like, oh, it's good for my brain if I take time to sleep.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, sleep is good for you. I'm like, oh no, I will be a better worker if I sleep.
A better person in general. Because
Right.
when I'm not sleeping or if I'm not not always on, I'm way more snappier. I'm way meaner. I'm antisocial. I don't want to go out. I don't want to hang out. I don't want to see people because I'm like, I don't have time to do that or I'm too tired to do that. So it's just like when I'm rest, I can actually hang out with friends. I can actually spend time with family members versus when I'm always on, it's like I'm on and then I'm off. And when I'm off, I'm sleeping, sort of thing. So,
right. Just like fuel yourself as efficiently as possible to get on to the next thing.
Yep.
Do you feel like when you're doing your job or you're working on SelfSuffi or anything like that, does any of that bring you extra energy or does that stuff kind of drain you as well?
That's a good question. It just really depends. So with my job, I've done a pretty good job at like keeping my full-time job and SelfSuffi separate. I know before when I used to work full time and then try to do extra stuff, I would always try to merge them and do them at the same time. And now I took the mindset is my full-time job pays me right now. That is what's, keeping me afloat, keeping me alive, giving me good benefits.
Yeah.
So like that's my primary focus. And some days it can be draining just because we're dealing with, multiple clients and I'm working with teammates and making sure they have everything that they need. And, if things don't get done, it's like my responsibility or why, I'm probably the reason why I didn't get done. I didn't plan enough. So that can get draining, but it's also very rewarding because it's so unpredictable. Like I cannot do the same thing every single day. So being challenged every single day with a new problem that's different from the previous day keeps me like energized. And similar to SelfSuffi, just knowing that I'm able to go out and, create something that when I go out and tell people about it, they think it's a good idea. Or, the pitches that I've won, or I'm, about to release my MVP and hopefully close on my first customer. Like that stuff just gives me energy to keep going. But there are some moments, especially with SelfSuffi, like probably like a month or two ago, where I would tell DeAndre, like, I don't know, Mom, I'm doing this right now. Like, this is hard. Like, I could just be going to work, getting off, and not doing nothing. And, now I'm sitting here trying to start this tech company, and, I'm using 15% of my check to fund it until I get funding. And I'm like, this is, DeAndre, why did you let me do this? Like, I should not have started a company. But then I have my moments like now where I'm like, no, this was a good idea and this is going to be fruitful and I just need to keep at it.
Yeah, it's going to be fruitful and also like make a real difference in people's lives. And just talk about the app for a minute.
Yeah. SelfSuffi. So I came up with this idea more so. I worked in the nonprofit space, and the one thing that I realized is that I was just training people to be able to make a living wage, right? But a lot of times, like they were coming to me with additional problems. Maybe they needed help with housing. Maybe they needed help with prescription. And instead of being able to focus on getting them prepared for the workplace, I was focused on what can I do to help them be successful right now or happy or content right now in their lives. So that would take away from my daily job. And it got to the point where I'm probably just now carrying myself from burnout because I was always on. You saw me. I was always on all the time, Um, so when I ended up leaving that space, I was consulting for a while with different nonprofits. I was attending the socioeconomic conference and stuff. And I just got the idea like it should be way easier for people to get help. Like a lot of times people don't even know they need the help. If they know they need the help, they're too afraid to ask for the help. They don't know where to go. And so that was the point of the platform. Like, how can I allow people to get help more quickly, more effectively? But as I continue to develop on it, it's now turned into this platform where also companies that are working with these individuals can also, you know, be more empowered to serve people. So what we're looking at doing is, a lot of times the intake process when you're trying to figure out what a person needs can take multiple sessions, hours, depending on how frequently they're coming back. So, and most of the time, even when you complete the intake, you're only getting a portion of what a person needs, like, and it's typically whatever you're solving for, at your organization. So what we're looking at to do is to establish an assessment that measures people on 24 areas of their life on a scale of 1 to 5. That way, no matter if you're helping them in housing, but notice they might need help in food, with food, then you're able to refer them out to maybe an external partner or put them back into our queue that somebody can say, okay, I'm willing to, bring this person to my organization, provide the food they need. And now this person's problem is holistically being solved instead of, oh, I know they need help with housing. I provide housing. I solve that. But then, okay, but they also probably need a higher paying job. And they also probably need transportation to get to that job. And we're completely sometimes ignoring all of those other elements that prevent a person from becoming self-sufficient.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many things to follow up to that. Which path to choose? I mean, just for thinking about the current, immediate, present, do you see what I mean? In my mind, what you're doing is going to become even more crucial as people are seeing their government benefits taken away and all of that. Do you think that is going to affect what goes into your MVP, which is, I guess, the technology term for most, or
Most valuable product.
yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
like the bare, like what you need to minimum,
Minimum. Yeah, I said most, but it's minimum. I said most.
I'm
Think about
thinking
sports.
MVP.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I was doing the same thing. I was like, I don't think it's
Minimum.
most
Yeah, it's
valuable,
minimum.
but yeah,
Yeah.
minimum viable product. Um, does does this change the MVP at all, or is it gonna? I don't know. What's happening there?
I don't think so. So when I went into this, why I am no Elon Musk or Trump at all, don't want to be. Um, there was a larger issue that I am trying to solve, and it's the fact that while there are a lot of nonprofits doing great work, we spend a lot of money to be able to provide help to people. There's so much overhead cost and so much operational cost that comes along with that I don't think is always necessary. Like if I need food and I'm hungry, I don't necessarily need you giving me classes for nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'm struggling with mobility and stuff, and everybody's teaching financial literacy courses. The problem is that I'm not financial illiterate all the time. It's that I just need the help.
Right.
So the goal of SelfSuffi is to kind of be able to limit some of those overhead and operational costs. So the benefit of it is that the money or whatever resources can go directly back in to what people need instead of dancing around. People either need money, they either need housing, they either need food. They always don't need classes and counseling or whatever else we're doing to say that, oh, this is to help people. So I don't want nobody to lose their jobs, but I would like to be able to enhance what people are doing so that they can actually spend more time providing that direct help instead of indirect services sometimes.
Yeah. And I mean, all of those like classes in nutritional literacy and financial literacy are all important things, but it's like the next level, and you can't think about those things if you're trying to figure out where your next
Where your
meal is
next meal
coming
are
from, or
coming from.
how you're
And
gonna pick your kids to.
and if every nonprofit is doing courses and nutrition courses and financial literacy courses, how many damn financial literacy courses do we need?
Right.
Can we all not just come together to all teach one financial literacy course? Do every single one got to have a financial literacy course that has to get funded? Because whatever you're spending on that financial literacy course or the classes that you're hosting or whatever, then that could be money going directly back to a person to me. Because when I was struggling, I didn't want nobody trying to come to me and tell me, well, this is what you're doing wrong. Like, yeah, eventually when I'm on my feet, I'm gonna hear it. And now that I'm on my feet, guess what? I like financial literacy courses. I care about my nutrition. I try to eat more healthy. But when I'm struggling in the meantime, I don't care about that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, it's like the hierarchy of needs. Like if you don't have those basic ones taken care of, the other things are not gonna
They're not gonna fall into place.
down. I know I've done some business cohorts over the last year, and there was a lot of time where they were like, here's how you can do your business finances better. And I was like, okay, this is cool. This is good to know. But what if I don't have money to do any of these things with?
Exactly. And I think right now, like people have been able to just make a lot of money off of selling very basic information.
Mm-hmm.
And then saying, oh, this is going to be beneficial to somebody. But if only 5 people are coming to your classes, you could have hosted that online, recorded one session, and now it's just up there. And if the person wants to find it, they're going to find it. So, I try not to speak on that too much because, I don't want people to feel like I'm telling them what they're doing is worthless.
Sure.
But it's just, I find it, I read this book. Yeah, I wasn't really thinking like this. This is a book called Poverty by America, by, I want to say his name is Matthew Desmond. It's either Michael Desmond or Matthew Desmond, I think. And he writes about how much money goes into social services and then the percentage of that money that actually goes back directly to the people in need. Right. 75% of that money goes into operational costs instead of going back directly into the hands of the people that need it. Yeah. So a lot of times when we see the people in the government saying, oh, well, people should have what they need, they're not breaking down but they're not going to go see, oh, well, now we are, but they're not going to go see, oh, I think I gave all this money for food stamps, but 50% of it went into nutrition classes instead of actually giving people food, which was just salaries for other people. Right. So it's a touchy subject, but somebody gotta bring it up,
for the hot takes.
Yeah.
And I think like with the rise of the internet doing what it like, there are so many people selling courses, and like even not just nonprofits, just people with courses on how to like be a better parent. People who are like, here's how I made $10,000 a month selling online courses.
Basically, yeah, selling online courses.
And I think we're so susceptible to those kind. And I think there are some. I'm sure there are courses out there that are like providing real value, but there's also a lot out there that people are just like, we feel like if we just take this one class, then we're going to be able to be better. And then on the flip side, I'm sure there are a lot of organizations who say, if we provide this information, then like that's great. We've done our part. That's all we need to do. It's like a great pat on the back. Like, oh, this many people watched this video that we provided for them. We made a difference. We're done. We're good.
We're done.
Yeah.
But were they actually able to take that video and do something with it, improve their circumstances, improve their life? And maybe some people are, but for the most part, once again, if I'm stressed about my basic needs, how can I actually take and receive the information that you are trying to provide, to me right now?
Yeah.
So we're gonna see how that shakes out.
Yeah. And when does your MVP come out?
So we are releasing it March 5th.
Okay.
I actually met with my developers last night.
Nice.
And got the final pass through over it. We have a couple of tweaks just to be able to make, just to be able to at least sign on our first customer. We're working with a local university right now that's signing on. So I'm excited just to see how it goes, and welcome to any feedback, because that's the most important part of this process, is getting the feedback that I need to build it and making it into something that organizations really want to use to help them make a greater impact with the individuals that they serve.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're starting with a university. I have a friend who works in not admissions, I'm sorry. She's in advising. This gin is not, I mean, I didn't put a ton in this drink, but I'm
you feel it? You downed it. It's gone.
The cranberry juice is so good. I have a friend who works in college advising, and she has a master's in social work, so she's like equipped to handle different student needs. But there's so many times where students come to her with needs that are just like outside of her job description. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that there are so many like accidental social workers out there who are spending time not doing their jobs because they're trying to connect the people they work with other resources. And like, I guess resources need to be easier to find in general and easier to connect with. But I also wonder how many things are not like part of our learned experience growing up. Like, are there things that our parents should have been teaching us along the way? Like, here's how you fill out this kind of thing. Or here's like, I feel like we're just as a whole, like as a society, getting worse at connecting to things and getting worse at making things easy to connect to. Or maybe that's just my perception. I don't know, maybe for some people it's always been hard to get access to certain stuff.
I also look at it like this. There are certain things that when we want to provide help to certain groups of people, it's just baked into every day. Mm-hmm. So when people are ready to go buy a home, all of the home buying assistance programs, the banks know about those, and they telling you how to do those. Your realtor know about those, and they telling you how to do those. But that mainly serves, for the most part, middle class, upper class families, right? Like, that's just baked into society that if you own a home, you probably know where to go get this help that you need and stuff. Right. But we don't do that for basic needs. We don't have the idea of somebody needing nutrition or struggling for it. There's not going to be somebody sitting up at the grocery store that's like, I can help you save money on buying groceries, or find you the services to
Right.
help you buy groceries,
Right.
or when it's time for you to go find low income housing, apartment locators aren't telling you about all of the different programs. They're not even trying to show you the low income housing. So it's just that we've decided as a society to put more emphasis on things that benefit people who already don't need help, really,
Right.
versus when we notice that people are struggling with basic needs, we try to make it to where they have to play hide and seek
Mm-hmm.
to go find those different services, instead of baking the idea of it into our everyday life.
Yeah. And it's for corporations, they are actively working to exploit people who haven't been given that
Mm-hmm.
information. And it's like I think about food advertising and or even like credit card, like we get so many credit card letters in the mail, like you can get this much money if you sign up for a credit card and spend this much money. Um, and like everything around us is just created to exploit people. And unless you have people actively talking about it, um, and there's a book by a woman named Vivian too, who her Instagram is called Your Rich BFF. So
Mm.
she like has worked in Wall Street and all of that, but she didn't start out in Wall Street. And she noticed like, oh, rich people are talking to each other about how to manage money all the time. And we're told in like middle class or low income families, like, oh, it's taboo to
Talk
discuss
about it.
these things. Um,
Unless
and
it's in the
so
class.
you what?
I said, unless it's in the class.
Yeah. And
Like,
so like stuff like financial literacy and nutrition. I guess like, well, I was homeschooled, so I don't know. Do people talk about nutrition in school? Um,
somewhat.
like maybe in my like I think I had a college class that did it, but I don't know if it's like included in like middle school or high school curriculum
But it's
or
funny because it's like, yeah, it is talked about in school somewhat, but you're talking to kids who they don't
they don't
control what's
care.
being bought in their
Right.
house. They don't care,
Right.
and they also are not the ones grocery shopping.
Right.
So it really starts, like sometimes education just don't stop with children. It also has to go, to parents, and
Right.
parents got to have the ability to be able to come home and cook those dinners
Yeah.
and all of this extra stuff that we don't really, you know, think about, unless you're actually in the situation. So,
Yeah, and kind of what we were talking about earlier with, you need good aunties and uncles to help you with raising your kids. I think like communities used to be um so interconnected that you just you receive this knowledge from the people around you. But now we are so isolated that each person, it's like they have to start from scratch.
mm-hmm.
And if you don't have a parent or a teacher or some kind of mentor like helping show you the way, then you're going to just be behind and you're gonna struggle to get all of that information. And like I guess part of the American dream, like pull yourself up by your bootstraps or whatever. And some people are able to do that, but that's just not the case for most
It's
people.
not feasible.
No. And like when I'm overwhelmed already, like when I think about just like just like how do you like making it by in my regular life and like providing for a kid and making sure that we have what we need to eat well and blah blah blah. And then even thinking like how like going beyond that to other people, like there's no space for that even um because we become so isolated in our family units or
Mm-hmm.
like with a few friends, but um yeah, we're so disconnected.
Yeah,
It's
I
my soapbox.
I definitely agree. I can definitely see that. I think it's harder for me to probably feel that, just because like I don't have kids, so like the need for community isn't as great. But it is something like me and DeAndre have talked about. Like, and we're not that close with our families. If we have kids, like, are they gonna have cousins?
Yeah.
Like, because we're not, like making it, effort to always be as family oriented as we should be. And I try to like think about like what's the reasons, you know, why aren't people like as family oriented? Like when I was growing up, like I was at my cousin's all the time. Like I was always around other kids. I was always spending the night at an uncle house. But like now, like so many bad things have happened in the world that nobody feel comfortable letting their kids go and spend the night nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, you barely feel comfortable probably letting your kid out of your sight for more than 4 hours max.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
unless they're at school. And
Right.
even now, with how school is going these days, you barely probably want to send them to school.
I'm ready to homeschool.
Yeah. So it's just like it's just the dangers of the world where I wouldn't say like previous generations were like naive, but they just weren't privy to it because they didn't have social media. And you know, when they were watching the news, it was only local news in their town. But now you can see every single bad thing that's happening at 10,000 miles away, 5 miles away, and you just know that the world is so much more dangerous now, and the things that you love got to be more protected because you don't know who's crazy.
Yeah. We talk about, Adrian and I talk about it on a regular basis, just like knowing what we know about the school systems, but we also know like school systems don't get better without family participation and investment, but also like which families are going to want to be the ones to like participate and invest in a school that's got a poor reputation.
Yeah.
Like my parents, when we first moved to the US, we were in one of the worst districts in the country. And that's when they were like, oh, maybe we should homeschool. And so it's like there's this weird bridge of like thinking, okay, how can I connect with other people and invest in my community and also like provide the best possible. I can understand the appeal of putting your kid in like an expensive private school because it's like well this is gonna give them so many opportunities in their life, and whatever school I'm zoned for, they're not gonna get any benefit from me. I don't remember where I was going with this, but yeah.
I also think too, community is about sacrifice. And as much as people say, I want to be in the community and people should be more community oriented, how many people are really, like you said, versus me putting my kid in private school or me putting my kid in public school, which one am I going to choose? You know, that sort of thing. So it's so funny because I'm on Twitter all the time and I should not be because Twitter absolutely draws me insane. Like I barely tweet on there, but I hate people on Twitter. But I just be it's so bad. But like people are always talking about community, but then when you go to ask them, okay, so what are you doing? Do you go to local school boards? Do you volunteer? Like, do you know what's going on locally with your government? What are you actually doing? And they can't have an answer for you. They're just so up in arms about people not being community. But it's just like you're not also doing the community things that you are supposed to do either. So I think that's the point too. It's just like people are so afraid to be a community because you're gonna be looking at other people like, well, then what are you doing? I got to do this for the community. What are you doing for the community? Yeah. And it's so easy to be like, well, nobody's doing nothing for the community, so I'm just gonna be about me, yeah, sort of thing.
Yeah, I have a feeling that there are a lot of other places that do it better than the U.S., but this country is built so much on individualism and like make your money however you can and step on other people if you have to. And I don't know if there's a way to even like move out of that mindset as a collective. I mean, I think as individuals we can probably like create our own little ecosystems, but
yeah,
it's still, I mean, we're still fighting against a mindset that it's so ingrained in us.
I would say people should like everybody's always talking about community and they think of like this whole big, ecosystem. But most of like you just gotta find your tribe. And like that's just what it is at the end that you have your tribe of people that you can depend on, you can go to for advice, you can talk to and, release, have them watch your kids if you need them watch your kids or have you help you out with different things. But I think like I told you, like, this is one girl named Elle that I used to know. And the one thing that she said was that people operate how the world should be instead of how it is. And yeah, the world should be one big community. I don't think we're ever going to get that, again.
Right.
like, just so much social media technology, all of it is just going to keep driving us further apart. But you can always invest in like this small tribe of people that you can depend on, and that is your little small tight knit community. Because where we're going right now, it's just America is the melting pot that it always wanted to be. And so now that we're this big old melting pot, there are too many differences of opinions, too many desires, needs that just differ from one another, that we're never going to be this. It happens better in other countries because most of other countries are one culture, with a few other people that's in there. But when there's every type of culture over here in America, how are we going to ever agree and decide what's best for all of us as a whole one big, community? Your neighborhood might not even look, like one culture. So getting the country on one page is definitely never going to happen.
Yeah. What are some ways that you are do you feel like you're able to cultivate some of this community in your own life, or is at this point it's like your community impact is on getting this app going?
I do so in two ways. So like with my community, I do try. I always say I need to probably do a better job. But like my friend, I've been having the same friends since high school. So like for them, I do try to be there for them. They all got, well, not all of them. It's only like a few of us left that don't have kids. But I do try to go get their kids. I do try to, if one of them want to call me and vent about something, be there for them, or just do different things. Their kids got little league games, I'm at the little league games. Cold, rain, and snow, no matter what it is, I'm there. So that's ways. But I know a lot of it is, I used to be like this rah 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 revolutionary person. I want to change the world, and I kind of just got.
Is that just being in our 20s?
I think that's like, I think that was definitely part of it. And then the older that I got, I'm like, man, this world is, I would have to blow it up to change it. I would have to kill 50% of the people, let's be real, to get some changes done. So now SelfSuffi is my way of doing it. And I'm content. Like, I've gotten content in my mind. Like, I'm not going to be able to revolutionize the whole world, the whole country, and change people's mindsets. you know, I'm not going to be able to change people's mindsets, and, hope that, people see everybody as equal. It's just impossible. But this one little dent in society that I can make is just make it easier for people to be able to get resources and ensure that a lot more people can become self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And I'm content with that. But before you asked me that when I was 25, 24, no. I would be on the phone arguing with my mama like, y'all didn't do enough. And she would just be like, you're gonna see when you get older. And now I'm older, I'm like, I get it now. Like, yeah, like I get it. You're right.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's I think there's a reason there's so many like it's, I guess when you're younger you have this black and white thinking of like this is the only way that this can happen. And as you get older, I mean, it doesn't happen for everybody, but for a lot of people with maturity comes this more nuanced view of the world and also fatigue. Um, but I think there's a huge value in being able to just find that one little thing that you can make an impact on. Because if more people were able to do that and find their one little slice, I think the ripple effects from that could just be incredible. Like people think they have to do something huge to make a difference, but that's not necessarily the case. And even with what you're doing, like just allowing, even if it was just like a few people who were able to become self-sufficient, like what are they going to be able to do when they're not as concerned with
It's a ripple
their
effect.
stuff?
I will also say, go back to your point, history kind of did us a disservice because, you're taught about 10 prominent figures, historical figures.
Right.
You got your Gandhi, you got Mother Teresa, you got George Washington never told a lie, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman. They give you like these people that made such pivotal dents into society. So you grow up as a person thinking, I got to do that.
Right.
To make a difference. I got to be that big and I got to mobilize over thousands of people and everybody has to know my name in order to say that I made a difference. And once I got out that mindset, like I don't even want to be that famous or have that many people depend on me. That is exhausting. I just want to sit somewhere in the background and make a difference. And if no one ever says Cece Rockwell helped over this many people became, self-sufficient, I will be perfectly okay because I don't even want y'all to know my name.
You can manage the revolution.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't need
Together a
to be.
spreadsheet for it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to be front and center. And I think that's what everybody's mindset was, where so many of these movements that we saw that gained momentum kind of got warped. A lot of the people that was doing the work in the background, because they weren't worried about being out in front of the camera, their work got overshadowed. And some of that work got lost. And then a lot of people, I'm not going to say no names, but a lot of the people who wanted to be in the camera all the time, wanted to be on CNN doing interviews and stuff, they weren't on the ground doing no work, but they over here talking about the work and messing up the movement and all this, so it's just, once I seen that play out, I was just like, well, I know who I don't want to be. I would rather be the person in the background that's actually making an impact versus being in the forefront and dragging a movement down to the ground because I'm worried about my 15 minutes of fame, sort of thing.
Yeah. And I think there's also a lot of benefit to being able to do stuff in the background, because then if you need to pivot or if you need to have more, like if you have a 10-minute spot on CNN, you can't be super nuanced and you're going to end up alienating people no matter what, because that's like literally their whole model is creating views by creating controversy, and that gets them more money. And so if you're like doing the quiet work, you're able to build connections with people and you're able to find more common ground with people because you're not being forced into this one little box, this one little.
I can have a conversation with anybody. Even if I completely disagree with somebody, I can probably go to them and get them to sway to my side about the work that I'm doing. Because whatever it is that drives them, I can find a way to appeal to that. But if I'm out here making these public claims or stakes that, honestly, if you come to me with a good argument, you can probably change my mind. But once you go public with something, people are afraid to change their mind, and so it's just, I would personally prefer, not to. Now, back in my day, you might be able to go find some Facebooks or tweets, where I'm going in, but it's like, no, I want to be able to actually make a difference. And like you said, I can't make a difference, by alienating myself or say I'm just for this and I'll never budge because the people that I'm trying to make an impact for, it's not beneficial to them, sort of thing.
I definitely had some opinions in my 20s that now I'm like, ooh. But if I hadn't had years of relationships and conversations to help change those things, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where I'd be, because I love being right, and I hate saying like, oh, I think I should probably. I like, in theory, I would love to just be proven wrong on things and like be more enlightened, but really, I don't want anybody to tell me I'm wrong. I don't want.
See, so how I get around that is I just argue with the people that I know really well and don't never change my opinion with them. But when I'm out in public, because I argue so much with them and I never change my opinion, I'm able to do it more with people I don't know. Where I'm like, flexible. Oh, I can see that. But I'm at home with DeAndre. He was in the argument the other day, and he swear he was right. I swear I was right. If I go bring it up right now, we're gonna argue about it all over again.
Yeah. I definitely think like in public I've gotten better at saying like, oh yeah, that's an interesting perspective. And then kind of just
dodging it, yeah. Let's mosey on over here now.
Yeah. Because I'm sure at this point all of my opinions about everything are the correct ones. Right?
That's how I feel for the most part. And I just tell people, I'm more calm out here in public, but get me on the phone, my mama or DeAndre, y'all are wrong. You always gonna be wrong. Yes.
I've started sending people voice notes. Like when I'm going for walks with Tyler, I'll record a voice note, and sometimes I start like venting about something. I'm like, wow, I did not realize my opinions on this were as strong as they are. It's It's good to unearth a little bit more of that because I'm
Yeah.
definitely more of like a go with the flow. Let's not rock the boat. But
Yeah, that's how I am. Most people think I'm not, but for the most part, to people, I ain't got time to be arguing with y'all. Like, is this gonna cause damage? Is it gonna be long-term damage? Then I can kind of shut up
mm,
about it. But if I feel like it's gonna affect something, then like I'll speak up. But a lot of times, people, like you said, people do want to be right.
yeah,
And if most times, if I can make people feel good by making them feel right, then I'm here for it.
yeah. As long as they're like, as long as my kid's not involved, I'm yeah. I have strong opinions about things, but I also I don't have a lot of faith in my ability to change people's minds on things at this
Mhm.
point. So if I'm talking to somebody who has a strong opinion about something, I can like state what I think and then exit the conversation or pivot or whatever. Because I don't think that just like clashing up against each other is gonna, it's not gonna change anything. It's not gonna help anything. And it's like more energy than I'm willing to give at this point.
That's why I make people mad. Cause I tell people all the time, listen, I hear you, but this is still my opinion. It ain't changing. So we can keep talking about it, but like I still feel the same way. Like you're not changing my opinion on this. Like
Yeah.
this is what it is. That was me and DeAndre argued the other night. Like I hear what you're saying, and maybe you're right. I still think it's dumb, and this is my opinion on this. So
Yeah. So you're building an app. Do you spend any time on other creative pursuits at this point? Are you writing anything?
yeah. So for since 2016, I've been world building for my sci-fi fantasy book. It is going on 8-year process, I guess you can say. I don't get to full focus on it as much as I would have back in the day,
Uh-huh.
but when I have some free time, like on the weekends and stuff like that, I always tell people I want to retire by the time I'm 45 and just write. That's my goal. Like, listen, SelfSuffi better be successful because I'm selling it.
Yeah.
But like, that's like my passion. I really do just want to sit around and create stories. I used to try to write about like, more real life stuff,
Yeah.
like the Eye of the Panther and stuff, but like I gotta live that stuff. I don't want to write about it no more. I tell people like the world has actually kind of really became that. Before when I was writing about it, it was like futuristic, but it's like
It's not futuristic.
now it's kind of real, right? So I'm like, I don't want to write about that. So that's why I like completely cross over into if I whatever I write is going to be like anime or sci-fi fantasy, something like that's just really cool and you know,
Is that what you like to read as well? I know you mentioned the anime. Do you like reading sci-fi
um,
fantasy?
I need to get back into reading sci-fi fantasy. So lately, because I don't read a lot, this has been my method. I've been reading nothing but romance books.
Oh.
Yeah, I know that's so weird, but I
Oh.
have because I was like, they're easy reads. So my whole goal
They
was
sure are.
just to start back reading
Yeah.
because, I would try to force myself to do like some type of business book or a self help book,
Mm-hmm.
and I could never finish them. So I was just like, well, it's my attention span. So if I can just show myself that I can get through a book, then eventually I will increase like my reading appetite for other books outside of romance. So like
There's a lot of really boring nonfiction.
it is, and I think like that's another. I'll be so hard on myself.
I'm
It's
a
like, is the book
fantasy.
really boring?
Yeah, well, I love fiction and fantasy. Yeah.
Like, so yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. So, but I have been trying to ease like nonfiction in there too.
Mm-hmm.
But like right now, it's this series. It's this author that I used to read as a kid named Brenda Jackson, where she created like this world building romantic novel based off like this prominent black family in Texas, and they're like as a kid it was just so amazing reading it because they're like senators and they own land and like they make influence and movie stars and all this stuff, and it's like their whole family is like all of these different things that you wouldn't really expect to see black people doing, especially growing up in the 90s. So I started back reading those because it's like about 20 of the books in a series, and they're like only like 300 pages, little small books. So,
What's the name of the author?
Brenda Jackson, and like this one, she has over 100 books, but this particular series is like the Medeiros novels, and it's just based off like it starts with like three brothers, and then from like the three brothers you meet like their wives friends, and then you meet like friends of the family, and it's just like all interconnected, and it's so amazing. So Yeah, so I've been reading those. I'm almost finished. So DeAndre, sometimes he catches me. He'll come into the room and I'm reading it, and I'm over there crying because they found they love, and I'm crying. And he's like, "What is wrong with you, Tyler? Why are you crying?"
Brenda Jackson. There's an author I need to send you because she does like sci-fi fantasy, but it's all like very Afrocentric and just her world building is amazing. It's like magic and science. Well, I guess hers is more magical than sci-fi, but
Mm.
um oh, what's her name? She wrote a book called Feybound, and the second book in that series just came out, and it's like a different like there's been a lot of like fairy and fae literature coming out over the last decade, and her take on it is so different from um it's so different from anything else that I've read, and I'm so excited to read the second one because her first one was it was like a fae race and an elf race, and they're like in conflict with each other. But
I'm
yeah,
gonna check that out. Yeah, you gotta send me
I'll
that.
text it to you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Have you ever? Do you like watching stuff like that?
yeah, I don't watch as much TV as I used to because it's just hard for me to like find the time to. I've been rewatching The Office extended editions.
Man, that's the only reason why I pay for Peacock.
Yeah, well, we have it. We use Instacart Plus, and they emailed me to say you now have Peacock Premium included with your Instacart, and I was like, yeah.
Hey, I love that just because I love. Yeah, I watch the Superfan episodes all the time because they almost change the show sometimes with the way they're written, where it's like, oh my god, like it gives you a whole other perspective. Like I see why that person was acting like that because this was going on in the background.
Yeah. But I enjoy good fantasy shows too. Like I'm trying to remember which ones
You
I
should
really
watch
liked.
Lost Girl.
Lost Girl?
Yeah, so it's like a fae kind of deal.
Okay.
And it's like different fae. It's like clans, and either you can be light or you can be dark.
Oh.
You have to choose when you're 16 which one you're gonna be. Your whole family can be dark, but you can choose to go light.
Yeah.
And then like, but it's like they feed off humans in like multiple ways. So one fae, they feed off luck, like humans' luck. So he owns a casino, or like it might be like you feed off a human's talent, so you might own like a talent agency, and like that's how they blend in with like the everyday world, and like they have like these clans, and it's like one of them, like a girl that she's 30 and she never claimed, but she is a fae and she don't know what's wrong with her, and she doesn't choose either one of them. She doesn't choose to be light or dark, and like the show follows her.
And it's like the light and dark having to do with like the types of things that they
It kind
feed
of
off of?
because like some people like theirs isn't as bad, like like they don't necessarily have to like kill, or they might decide to use it as like good or something like that. So it's really like the intent of the family and how they choose to like feed, because some people, you're not really supposed to kill humans when you feed off of them, but you might drain them to the point where they have nothing else like left,
Yeah.
So it's just like the intent. So it's like it's really good.
I'll check that out for sure. I think my first TV show like that I got into was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I haven't seen it in decades.
I just watched that last year again.
That's good.
I watched all of Buffy again, like all last year.
Did it hold up?
It holds up for the most part, except Buffy was very corny. Like her like comebacks and stuff, like it was very 90s, you know what I'm saying? Early that. And then the fight scenes are like not great. But I always tell people they are better than what you would expect, because it was on like the cusp of the Matrix.
Right.
So it was right around that time where like the Matrix was getting ready to come out. So fight scenes were gearing up to be pretty legit. But it was badass for it to be like a woman.
Yeah.
Doing that stuff.
Groundbreaking.
Yeah, it was groundbreaking. So I loved it.
We've come along.
They said they're gonna have they're bringing it back. Ooh. And this Buffy's gonna be some of the same. I know Buffy's gonna be in it. I'm not sure who else is. Who else is going to be in it? Because you know she's in Dexter's spinoff show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, prequel. Have you ever watched Dexter?
No.
She's in that prequel. So I'm like, I guess she's getting back into acting. So it's funny to see her like coming back around.
Oh, I'm sure she's gonna look exactly the same.
Yeah. You can tell that she's like hasn't had as much work done as what everybody else has. Like she's aged, but she's aged gracefully. Like she ain't been fighting against it like as much as other people have probably been fighting, you know, against it.
Yeah. We watched the SNL 50th anniversary the other day, and they had different sketches with people who were like old SNL people, and they also did a music show. And just watching, I was like, wow, there's a lot of people who have aged a lot. It's
Mm-hmm. It's weird to see because you know people be fighting against aging. You don't get to really see aging people no more.
no,
Like,
but no, we don't want to acknowledge it. We don't want to allow it. I don't, and I can feel it in myself. I'm like, oh, maybe like a little forehead Botox or something.
I'm definitely gonna get forehead Botox. I've already decided.
Like I have a very expressive forehead. So I see pictures of myself playing violin, and I'm like focused, and then I'm like, oh, that's.
Yeah, I already decided. I'm definitely gonna get forehead Botox, and if I can't lose the weight that I want to lose, I gained like 30 pounds in like the last like I don't know where it came from, like in the last like 6 months.
Yeah.
So, but it's just mainly right here. So I'm like, man, I will go get some cold sculpting done. I would never go under the knife for anything. I've decided like I'm not signing up for elective surgery. I'm just if I'm gonna get surgery, it's gonna be for something serious, you know, like you know. Yeah. But cold sculpting, I'll go get some cold sculpting done. I don't even
know what that is.
They freeze your fat. They freeze your fat.
And what happened?
It takes like a few sessions, and then like it'll slowly start like trimming off. As long as you like live some type of active lifestyle and you eat well, like it just starts trimming off, you know, after a while. But they freeze your fat, and so that's the most that I'm willing to do. This and that. Outside of that, it's just like, oh, I just gotta age at that point.
Yeah. Let people see the wisdom.
Yeah.
On your face and your body and.
So obviously, I'm not really scared of aging. Like I'm praying like for gray hair. I don't have not one strand of gray hair yet.
Nice.
I just want one. Nice. I just want to see it come. I want to be salt pepper.
You had like one lock.
I would be so happy with that. And DeAndre, because he washes my hair because it's just too much for me to wash myself now. But I'm always asking him like, can you look in there to see if you see any gray hair? And he's like, nope. And I'm like, oh, if I get gray hair, I'm gonna act like a feisty little old lady. I can't wait.
And I feel like if you have visibly aged, then people will take you seriously about it. It's like you've got so much wisdom to bestow on the world. You need people to recognize that and understand it.
Because when you tell me you look young, I'd be mad. Like, that's why y'all don't be taking me serious all the time. Or like when my friends' kids always think I'm joking because they think of me as a little person. They're like, this is not a real adult.
I feel like I'm not. I mean, I'm aging, and I'm now like, oh, I should probably wear sunscreen when I go outside, and I'm trying to slow it down a little bit. I've got age-defying cream. I'm ready to look 10 years younger.
That's what I'm telling you. I do not play about my skincare routine. Like my skincare routine, I've started drinking collagen. I've started doing chlorophyll, like all of it. Like I'm gonna do as much as I can to not have to go under like the knife outside of my little needle into my forehead. Yeah, and that's it.
I've started putting collagen and protein powder in my coffee in the mornings, and every day I'm like looking in the mirror like,
is it? Yeah, I just started. Yep.
But like when it's cold, I see more wrinkles in my fingers and stuff. I need to put more.
Oh, my hands are done. I've decided that's gonna be the first thing that shows that I'm aging. Is my hands, because that's how you're supposed to do like the SPF on your hands, or kind of almost whatever you do to your face, and you kind of need to do to your hands and neck. Yeah. So I always say the first thing that's gonna go is probably my neck and my hands, because
the face of a 20-year-old and then the
neck and hands of an old person. Yeah. So I've already decided, like my hands are already getting there, and I think I'm okay. I'm not okay with it, but what can I do at this point? Like I just forgot about my hands.
Yeah. Oh, when you were talking about world building for your book, I was curious if you have ever tried D&D before, or if you're curious about it because I've been getting a lot of D&D content. And I'm like, oh, this might be kind of fun actually.
I kind of have wanted to play. I watched The Big Bang Theory. Have you ever watched it before?
I have seen quite a few episodes.
They play it on there, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I can see myself probably doing some D&D and just seeing how it goes
You'd
because
be a good dungeon master, I think, based on the very limited knowledge that I have of
okay,
D&D.
I would love it because I've also thought about I wanted to play it because I've also thought about creating like my own world building game like that, but it would be mixed in with like drinking. Okay, so a lot of times when I was wild, I was wanting to create a game like that for my friends where we had to play, and it was going to involve drinking, marijuana smoking, those type of things, and you would have to like do extreme versions of it based off of like based off of like where you landed and stuff like that. Of course, now we're all old and nobody really does those things. Wink, wink. But like,
No.
like no, wink, wink. But like, yeah. So,
Whatever.
guess what? You're not gonna believe it.
What?
I have not smoked weed in over 7, 8 months.
Wow.
I've been weed free.
How do you feel about that?
I feel pretty good. I've been in situations where I could have, like on trips or like hanging out with friends and stuff, and they're all doing it.
Do you feel different? Have you noticed?
Okay, I thought my doctor was lying to me, and like my old doctor, and I should probably write him a letter and tell him like, "Oh, you were telling the truth." But he would always tell me like, "You would have less anxiety if you stopped," and I never believed it. I was just like, "No, like that's what's curing my anxiety is the weed. Like I need it."
Yeah.
And like for about a month, I would feel like, like, oh my God, I need it. I need to go buy it, like withdrawals and stuff like that. But after a while, it's like I can be around it. People smoke it around me. Here, you want it? And I'm like, no, I'm fine.
Wow.
And I feel great. And my anxiety has actually decreased by so much. Like, where my anxiety was just always here, and I feel like I could never bring it down. I barely have any unless it's really somebody getting on my nerves.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Weed makes me anxious, so that makes total sense for me.
Yeah, but I was like, oh, I just only do indica. And, the indica is supposed to be like more of the downer. But then like now, like you just learn that you don't know what weed is what weed no more. They done mixed it and crossbreed it so much that like you don't know if what you're really smoking is indica no more. So most of the time, probably when I was always anxious, I was probably always on sativa. And that's why I'm like, no, I feel great now. But I never thought I would stop. So I'm actually proud of myself.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thanks.
It's one of those things that I've always been like, oh, this seems like it could be cool. But it's just never worked for me.
Sometimes I miss the cool element of it, of being like, oh, I'm this hipster person that like smokes weed, but
even alcohol, like I drink it socially, but most days I'm like, I'm okay without it.
Same. I need my wine though. I need my wine. Sometimes on the weekend, like that's like my thing. We go downstairs, Kroger's like right there by attached to my building. Yeah. I go get my little vegan wine. I try not to do too much, but we found like this vegan brand where it's like no added sugars, no nothing, anything extra.
Nice.
And that's like the wine that we like indulge in.
I can't afford to wake up hungover anymore. And so there's some stuff that if I start drinking it, I enjoy the flavor so much that I'll just keep going. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
With a child in my face, like, Mom, it's time for you to wake up. And I'm like,
it's time for you to go back to bed.
You can go play in your room. He's like, I need a snack. I left you a snack. Please just stop talking to me for a little bit.
Oh.
You need more motivation to not.
Oh, y'all feed me all the time when I just be seeing what kids do. I tell people when people say, well, what's the one thing where you could not have kids? And I say, when I see videos of kids when their parents are eating something and they also have food, but they feel like they need to eat their parents' food, it pisses me off. It really pisses me off that little kid cannot eat his own fucking food. So I'm like, that's how I know I'm not missing out kids, because I want to share my food.
What?
Yes, those videos make me so mad when I see kids begging for their parents' food, but they also have food.
I can definitely, I mean, I can see how that could be a problem for some people. I love to share food in general. So I'm like, as long as you're eating, I don't care if it's off of my plate or off of your plate. Let's just
Mm-mm.
get food in your body so that you fall asleep and stay asleep. Um,
My kid would be writing a tell-all book about how I messed up their life because I would never share my food with them.
no.
I would be a terrible parent because they would say my mom never shared her food, and it made me hate myself growing up because I feel like my mom hate me, and now I'm a terrible parent just because I didn't want to share my food.
Dang.
Like this.
That's a it's a very firm stance.
That's what I see.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me has just been sleeping, just less sleeping. I'm a really good parent, but I'm a much better parent when I sleep a lot, and I just don't sleep very much.
You're on their schedule,
Yeah,
and they don't need sleep.
they do, because if they don't sleep,
Yeah, they're
then they're
right.
gonna be
The
little
terrorists.
terrorists.
Yep. Yes. Like, yeah, they're terrorists.
They're
Yeah.
terrorists, but they don't realize that they're being terrorists.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
And they don't realize it can all be solved with sleep. It's like all you have to do is take a
literally.
nap, and then you can wake back up, and we can do whatever you want to do. But right
Yes.
now, you just need to sleep.
Your body needs sleep. We will that's one of the things Alder and I fight about is I'll be like, your body really needs to sleep right now. You need energy, you need to grow more, and that all happens when you're sleeping. He's like, I don't I don't need to grow. I don't need sleep. And I'm like, you're rubbing your eyes. And he's like, I'm not rubbing my eyes. I'm like, I'm watching
I'm
what
watching you.
happened.
I'm watching you, kid. No.
Oh,
And Oliver can do no wrong in my eyes. He's a
that's
little
true.
sweetheart.
Yeah. Well, if you want to see him, you're welcome to hang out until or one of us will go pick him up. But
That's what I mean. I said I'm gonna try to wait until traffic dies down.
oh,
Traffic's gonna meant to be terrible.
yeah. Well, I want to know, is there anything else in your life that you would like to chat about? Anything else you want to cover? I do have 3 final rapid fire questions, but
Well, I think so. I think we covered a lot. We covered my fear of kids. We we covered a lot of stuff.
yeah, I feel like we can always keep going,
Mm-hmm.
but also I feel like this is, I feel good about this.
I know.
So Tyler feels good about this.
Tyler said, "You're gonna take me on this walk."
um, what is something you've had to unlearn recently?
Not sharing my emotions. I used to keep everything pinned up inside because I used to feel like you shouldn't feel this emotion. It's gonna be you're gonna make the other person feel bad for feeling this emotion. Like all of these, rationalizing having emotions or having problems with people. And I used to just keep it pinned inside until eventually one day it would just overload. And now that person probably just dropped my pen on the floor, and now I'm going in on them, and they're like, "I just dropped your pen," and I'm like, "But you also did this, and you also did this, you also did this," and I'm just rapid firing, all of this different stuff. So I think now I've learned, like, when I have a problem with the person, that it's best to like address it then, instead of just holding it in and rationalizing like why I shouldn't feel this way, or maybe they didn't mean it this way and I'm just overreacting, sort of thing.
I can, well, I think mine is I had the opposite problem is I overshare. Overshare my actually, well, no, I guess when I feel like I'm gonna rock the boat, then I don't share.
Yeah, I would say, I feel like if you're gonna rock the boat, you might overshare just everyday life things,
Right.
but you don't overshare, I feel like, negative emotions.
Yeah. Because I don't want people to feel bad. What is your hottest take? I feel like you've got a lot of hot takes.
I have so many hot takes that I
It can
gotta
be silly or serious. It can, yeah,
man.
anything you want.
I can't say nothing too political. The political arena is on fire right now. I'm trying to stay away from that. Oh, yes. This is my hot take. And if I ever ran for president, I believe that the world would be a much better place if people minded their business about 99% of the stuff that they think they need to worry about. I know it's community, right? But no, if you mind your business about 99% of the stuff you concern yourself with, world would be a much better place. We would be living in harmony.
You can be in community and mind your business.
Yeah, like it's just if it's not affecting the innocent, if it's not affecting you in a negative way, you can literally mind your business. But people can't.
Yeah. Last question. What is something this week that made you really happy?
I mean, I was sick most of the week.
You can say this
Two
month too
things.
if you want.
I can say two things. So I got flowers. Andrew brought me flowers just randomly. So I really love that because he does that regularly, but it makes me happy every time he does it. And then coming here, I haven't been here so long, and I've literally been thinking like, man, I need to hit up Elizabeth and Adrian. And every time I do this, I was like at a weird time, and I'm like, no. So actually being here, being able to see y'all, like, I'm like, sometimes I think about putting y'all in the group chat together and just like texting, like, let me knock them out, 2 birds and 1 stone, like they're a unit, so I'm gonna message them as a unit.
Yeah, we have separate thoughts and opinions about things, but especially if you're trying to like just say hello, the collective group, you're more likely to get something back.
I figured. See, that's good to know now. But yeah, I think that and we would also me being others who's like, we're gonna do poker night again.
No, we talk about that regularly. Although maybe it needs to be D&D. I don't know.
No, we could really. I'm telling you, I would show up for that just to see how it works.
I've been watching D&D games from Dimension 20. They have them on YouTube. They've got one that's just like a regular D&D game, and then they have one with, it's called Dungeons and Drag Queens, and so it's drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race, which is, they're hilarious. But their main dungeon master, Brendan Lee Mulligan, is so funny and creative, and just like every time I watch it, I'm like, how does all of this end up in one person? Also, I think he was probably homeschooled because he's a huge nerd, and I just feel like there's a wavelength that I recognize. I'm like,
you can feel it. You can feel it. The connection.
You seem like you were homeschooled.
Tyler.
This is what she does when I'm working. She'll come stand next to me when I'm at my desk and just cry.
You're like Chopper. It's like having a cat.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. I want to ask you what you thought about the Kendrick and Drake thing too, but I feel like my husband wants to be here for that conversation.
Oh, because you know I'm about to go in on that little Winnie Drake. You already know how I feel now.
Yeah, I'll wait till he's in the room.
You know, Drake is part of my Winnie Hut Jr.
Oh yeah,
and now he's even more. He's a hotling now. He's mad.
Tyler, shush, please. Okay, friend, thank you. And is there anything if you want people to follow you or?
Oh yeah, so follow me at Cecily Rue on Studios on Instagram, and then you can find my company SelfSuffi at SelfSuffi on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Nice. I'll put the links in the description too. Tyler, do you have anything else to say?
Take me on my walk.
That's not happening today, girlfriends. Call it.